everyone, this is Lana from Lana Under Pressure, and in this quick video I'm going to show you how to take the pressure off when you get the dreaded burn notice. Everyone at some point in time is going to get that dreaded burn notice on their Instant Pot, and that's where on the display it'll tell you burn. Don't freak out. I know I did when it first happened to me, but I promise you there's nothing to worry about. I'm going to give you some quick tips that are going to help you deal with that so you know exactly what to do when that happens. So the first reason you can get the burn notice usually is because you don't have enough liquid in your Instant Pot. Now, electric pressure cookers need to have liquid to create that pressure, and when you don't have enough liquid inside your liner, then you'll get the burn notice. And that can happen for a few reasons. Either the recipe you're using didn't tell you to put in enough liquid, or if you're creating your own recipe, you didn't add enough liquid. A good rule of thumb is to have at least 3/4 to a cup of liquid in your Instant Pot when you're cooking. And that's for a 6-quart. So if you have a 3-quart Instant Pot, you can use a little less. If you have an 8-quart, you're gonna need at least a cup. Now, there will be some recipes that work with just a half a cup or a little bit less, but when you're starting out, I like to always tell everyone at least have 3/4 of a cup of liquid in your Instant Pot. And if that's a lot of liquid for your recipe, you can always go ahead and saute at the end to evaporate off some of that liquid. But when you're starting out, it's much better to have more liquid than not enough. Another reason why you might not have enough liquid is if for some reason that liquid and that steam has escaped. And that usually happens because, and I'll show you, in the top you have the silicone sealing ring. And this is important in order to create that vacuum to create the pressure. Now sometimes the sealing ring either isn't in correctly, or like I've done many a times, I've removed it to clean it and then forgot to put it back in. And the way you know that that's happened is because when your Instant Pot or your electric pressure cooker starts to build pressure, you're gonna see a ton of steam coming out of the sides. And the way you fix that is, again, hit cancel, remove the lid, add a little bit more liquid in there, make sure the sealing ring is in place, and then go ahead and restart it. Reason you might get the burn notice is because your liquid that you're using is too thin. Now, when we say to make sure that you have 3/4 of a cup or a cup of liquid, that liquid is what I like to call true liquid. It means it's a thinner liquid like water, broth, wine, something like that. If you're using thick liquid like cream or soups or something that's really thick, that's not going to have enough water in it to create the pressure, and you'll end up getting the burn notice. What you're going to do if that's the case is you're going to hit cancel, remove the lid, add a little bit of water or chicken broth to thin out that liquid, and then you'll restart. At the end, if you want to have a thick liquid, what you can do is you can take the cover off once it's done cooking, hit saute, and then allow it to boil, and that'll evaporate some of that liquid to really thicken it. When I'm using things like cream, I have a great Alfredo recipe. Usually what I'll do is I will add a little extra cream at the end. You can also thicken your liquid using a cornstarch slurry, and you're gonna do that at the end as well. So make sure you start off with a thinner liquid and then thicken it up at the end. Number 3 you might get the burn notice is because you're cooking with an ingredient that absorbs the liquid that you have in there before it's able to create steam. One of the main culprits of that is rice. Rice will absorb liquid, and so you may start off with enough liquid, but then as it cooks and the rice absorbs it, you don't have enough and the rice will burn at the bottom. And one of the ways that you can ensure that that doesn't happen is to make sure that you use a rice cup. Now, a rice cup is what comes with an Instant Pot, and a rice cup, it also comes with rice cookers. It's a little less than a true cup, and so that way you're going to measure your rice with a rice cup but measure your liquid with a standard cup, and that way you always have just a little bit extra liquid to help make sure that you don't get that burn notice. reason you might get the burn notice when cooking with the Instant Pot or your electric pressure cooker is because you're using an ingredient that has a tendency to stick to the bottom and burn. One of the main ingredients that does that is cooking with tomatoes. Diced tomatoes or whole tomatoes, tomato paste, tomato sauce, things like that have a real tendency and a high probability to burn. A way to ensure that that doesn't happen to you is whenever you're cooking with, say, diced tomatoes, like in my ropa vieja recipe, I put the diced tomatoes at the end on top of the meat or whatever you're cooking, and that way the tomatoes isn't right on the liner and won't burn. This is a tip from a previous video of mine where I'm cooking with tomato paste and tomato sauce, and what I do is I add that to the liquid, whisk it really well, and then add it to the Instant Pot. Probably the cause of that dreaded burn notice, I would say 80% of the time. And that's because either you sauteed or you have something burned to the bottom of your liner. And usually that happens when you saute things. One of the great things about cooking in the Instant Pot is that it has that saute function so that you can sear your meats and you can add a lot of flavor. I highly recommend using that mode whenever you're cooking something. Whenever you can utilize it, do. But the trick is that you need to make sure that if there's any brown bits or burnt food on the bottom, that it is scraped up, because anytime there's anything burned on the bottom of the liner, either before you start cooking or while it's cooking, it's going to cause that burn notice. And the way you're going to fix that is, first, if it's because you're sauteing, make sure that you use a wooden spatula like this. I love this one. I use it all the time. But make sure you use a wooden spatula to scrape on the bottom and get up any burnt bits before you add your liquid and start it to pressure cook. Now, if you get that burn message because you have burnt food at the bottom in the middle of your cooking, don't freak out. Everything isn't ruined. All you have to do is hit cancel. Go ahead and release the pressure slowly. Once all the steam is released, take the top off. Then use your wooden spatula to scrape the bottom, anything that's burned to the bottom. If you need to add a little liquid, you can do that to help you. You're going to scrape everything that's up on the bottom. Then you just replace the lid and start from where it left off, and you should be fine. Hopefully this quick tip will help you whenever you get the dreaded burn notice. If there's a quick tip that you'd like me to do a video on for the air fryer or the Instant Pot or electric pressure cooker, leave that question or what you'd suggest for me to do my next video on in the comment below. I hope this helped you. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.